Cillian Murphy's iconic roles ranked by Aura. Robert Fischer, Inception. He is a billionaire heir who gets kidnapped inside his own dreams by a team of professional mind thieves. His father built one of the largest energy corporations on the planet and left him everything. You'd think that kind of legacy produces someone formidable. It does not. His biggest character moment is crying about his dying father in a vault, inside a dream, inside another dream, inside a blizzard fortress that his own subconscious built to protect his trauma. He doesn't fight back. He doesn't outsmart anyone. He gets emotionally manipulated by a fake godfather, has a complete breakdown in the snow, and then wakes up on a plane with absolutely no idea what just happened to him. He is not the hero. He is not the villain. He is the target. He is what the plot happens to while everyone else does the interesting work. Cillian Murphy plays him with genuine heartbreak in those pale eyes, but the character has zero agency, zero threat, and zero control over a single thing that occurs around him. He is a walking inheritance check with abandonment issues and a subconscious that builds its own maximum security prison just to avoid feeling something. D tier, and it's not close. Jackson Rippner, Red Eye. He sits down next to a woman on a plane, orders a drink, and flips between charming and life-threatening like flipping a light switch. For the first 45 minutes of this film, he is genuinely unsettling, quiet, controlled, precise. He delivers his ultimatum in a middle seat at 30,000 feet without raising his voice once. There is something coiled about him, something that communicates he's done terrible things and found them unremarkable. Cillian Murphy understood exactly what this role needed, and he brought a lean, cold menace that made the entire plane feel like a sealed room with no exits. The problem is the third act. The moment he steps off that plane, the movie collapses into a generic home invasion thriller, and Jackson Rippner becomes just another man getting hit with household objects. He gets taken down by a pen, a fire poker, and a teenage girl with a field hockey stick. He chases her through a house like a background character in a Lifetime movie. His aura does not survive the landing. Everything he built in that cabin evaporates the second he touches the ground. C tier. If you enjoy content like this, subscribe and follow. We do this every week and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Jim. 28 days later, he wakes up alone in an empty London hospital with no clothes, no memory of what happened, and no explanation for why every single person on Earth appears to have vanished. He walks out onto the streets of London, calling out for someone, anyone, and the world gives him complete silence in return. Empty double-decker buses, cash blowing down deserted streets, Westminster Bridge with nothing on it but wind. He starts as a terrified bicycle courier who cannot process what his eyes are showing him. He ends the film in total blackout, personally dismantling an entire military compound with his hands and whatever he can grab, hunting soldiers through a dark mansion like something that stopped being human about 20 minutes ago. The scene where he moves through that building is not heroic, it's feral. His eyes go somewhere else entirely, and for a long moment he looks exactly like the infected he has spent the whole film running from. That is the point the movie is making, and Murphy sells it completely. He was 25 years old making this film, and he carried the entire emotional weight of a collapsed civilization on his back without a single false note. B tier. Damien O Donovan, The Wind That Shakes the Barley. He had his bags packed. He had a medical career waiting for him in London. He was walking out the door when British soldiers dragged a group of young men into his neighborhood's farmyard and beat one of them to death for refusing to give his name in English. Damien unpacked his bags and joined the IRA. What follows is 2 hours of watching an idealistic man discover that revolutions do not reward their believers, they consume them. Damien has deep aura because his conviction is total and entirely tragic at the same time. He knows what he believes, he knows what it will cost him. He looks at the price clearly and pays it without flinching. This film is largely unknown outside of European cinema, and that is a genuine loss because Murphy delivers one of the most quietly devastating performances of his career in it. The final scene is one of the most emotionally brutal endings in modern film, and he carries it with the same absolute stillness he brought to the very first frame. It is not the aura of domination, it is the aura of a man who chose something true over something easy and never looked back. B tier. But this one does not leave you. Dr. Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, Batman Begins. Before Heath Ledger arrived and permanently rewrote what a comic book villain could be, Cillian Murphy walked into Batman Begins as Dr. Jonathan Crane, and made everyone forget they were watching a superhero film for a solid 20 minutes. He plays Crane as a clinical psychiatrist who weaponizes fear not because he enjoys suffering, but because he finds human terror genuinely fascinating. Not exciting, not sadistic, fascinating, the way a scientist finds a specimen fascinating. That detachment is what makes him deeply so unsettling. He does not want your pain. He wants to observe it and take notes. The Scarecrow mask works in a way that should not work in a film like this, and the scenes where Crane doses people with his fear toxin carry a psychological dread that most actual horror films never achieve. Murphy lobbied hard for this role, and every single choice he makes shows it. He got replaced as the primary villain halfway through the movie, handed the screen to Christian Bale, and still managed to leave the most memorable impression of anyone in the supporting cast. That is Aura operating at a genuinely elite level. A tier. J.Robert Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan handled Cillian Murphy the most impossible assignment in recent film history. Played the most morally complicated man of the 20th century. Make him compelling across a 3-hour runtime. Make theoretical physics feel like a psychological thriller. Make an audience sit in a cinema and feel the weight of a decision that changed the entire trajectory of human civilization. Murphy did not just meet that brief. He built something extraordinary inside it. What is remarkable is how little he does with his face and how much he communicates anyway. He watches the Trinity test detonate, and something moves across his expression that is not triumph and is not horror. It is something that exists between those two things and does not have a proper name. He says, "I am become deaf," the way a man speaks when he had just understood something about himself that cannot be undone. The hearing sequences are the crown of the entire performance. He sits in a chair being methodically dismantled by men who are smaller than him in every way that matters, and he never once loses his composure or his dignity. He has the intelligence to build the weapon and not enough power to control what the world did with it afterward. Murphy holds that gap open in every single scene he plays and never lets you forget it's there. S tier. One of the defining screen performances of the decade. Thomas Shelby, Peaky Blinders. There is no discussion to be had. Thomas Shelby came back from the First World War with sand from French tunnels still somewhere in his lungs and a version of himself he left in the mud outside Verdun that was never coming back. He built a criminal empire from a betting shop on a back street in Birmingham. He wore a flat cap like it was a crown. He lit cigarettes like he was performing a private ritual that nobody else was invited to understand. He walked into rooms where every single person outranked him socially, politically, and financially, and became the most powerful presence in that room before he had said one word. The aura of Thomas Shelby is built entirely on control, not physical dominance, though he has that. Information control, emotional control, the sense that he already knows how this ends and has quietly made his arrangements. When he loses, which he does, he loses in ways that cost him personally rather than tactically, because nothing tactical surprises him for long enough to matter. There is a scene where Thomas Shelby walks towards a firing squad with a cigarette between his lips. He looks at the commanding officer directly in the eyes. He refuses the blindfold. He does not run. He does not negotiate. He does not appear to be particularly afraid of anything that is about to happen. He just stands there in complete stillness and waits, which is somehow the single most intimidating thing any person can do in that exact moment. 6 seasons. Hundreds of scenes, multiple empires built and destroyed, enemies in every government on the continent, and through all of it, Thomas Shelby never once lets you forget for a single second exactly who you are dealing with. God tier. It's not a debate. It was never a debate. Now it's your turn. Which Cillian Murphy role do you think deserves a higher tier? Is there a character we missed that belongs somewhere on this list? Drop it in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you want more ranked by aura, the next video is right there waiting for you. Click it. You know you want to.